Good morning. I'm Lawrence Geller, the founder of ForAdvisorsOnly.com. Welcome to Meet the Masters of Insurance webinar series. This is the 22nd of what we expect to be a great many webinars with Canadians who have dedicated their careers to learning the art and science of insurance sales and service. Webinars in this series are now scheduled through the end of this year, and more are being added on a daily basis. Over the years, I've observed that every successful insurance agent whom I've met has succeeded differently, even if they're in the same field, deal with similar clients, and even if they are related or in business together. This is what makes the sale and servicing of insurance one of the best careers that I can imagine. It is possible to become a success in our business with diligence, integrity, and experience. With this webinar series, we intend to prove that any type of person can succeed with time and hard, thoughtful work. Our goal is to create a video record for each of these masters of insurance so that some of their expertise and experience will be available to anyone who'd like to learn from them into the future. Today, we have Robert Crowder with us. Rob is the founder and president of Benefits Trust. Over 30 years of experience building in pensions and employee benefit solutions for clients has made Rob one of the leaders in the group benefits business in Canada. In 1994, he founded the Benefits Trust, which is a leading Canadian third-party administrator, serving small and mid-sized businesses across the country. Thriving under Rob's dedication and leadership, the Benefits Trust continues to grow as a reputable benefits provider. Rob continues to give back to the benefits industry regularly, sharing his expertise as a speaker and educator, and inspiring ambitious and experienced benefits brokers and advisors across Canada. Julian Wise will be interviewing Robert, and that is by far the shortest introduction to date for one of the most creative insurance professionals who I know. We have now booked webinar interviews through the end of 2024, with new dates being added daily. Over to you, Julian.
Good morning, Rob, and thanks for being with us.
Morning, Julian.
Rob, what did you do before you got into the insurance business?
Well, that's first of all, thank you very much for having me here today. And Lawrence, thanks for that great introduction. And it's a real honor to be here. Just before I got into the insurance business, I was in university and I sold beer. I worked for Molson Breweries. I was the university rep, shall we say, and sold beer on campus, I guess. And I also sold beer to ski resorts throughout Ontario.
And what compelled you to start in the business, Rob?
Well, actually, this is kind of an interesting story. I was finished university, didn't graduate, but finished university. And my father said, "All right, son, what are you going to do for the rest of your life?" And he goes, "Why don't you try the insurance business?" I go, "Insurance business? That's crazy." Anyways, go to the interview. Go to an interview. And I got, I guess, set up with Great West Life and one of their agencies. And I went into, had an interview, and the gentleman that interviewed me was quite intriguing. And then I did some tests, those psychological tests that they did back in the day, and passed those, I guess. And then they said, "Hey, you can become an agent with Great West Life, and it's 100% commission." And I was at the same time I was getting a promotion at Molson's to a full-time position from a part-time position, and it was quite intriguing as well. So I was debating back and forth. What do I do? Do I, go the employee route with Molson's, or do I go to the, into the insurance world? And it was really interesting because my boss at the time asked me a question. He said, "Rob, you go to Stuart, Florida, because, you're going down. I hear you go to Stuart, Florida all the time because your parents have a condo down there." And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I said, "Why are you going to Stuart, Florida? No one goes to Stuart, Florida back in those days." And the only reason why I went down there, because it was, quite frankly, free accommodations, and it was great. We go down there golfing and so on. But anyways, he said, "Well, one of my dad's friends has a condo down there, and he's letting my wife and I and our young daughter use the condo." And I thought about it for a while, and I said, "You know what? If I work really hard at Molson Breweries and 10 years from now, I get this guy's position, still have to go to my parents' condo, and I don't want to do that. I want to go to my own condo. So immediately on the spot, I ended my career with Molson's and joined Great West Life because I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. I wanted to be able to make choices as opposed to have to face decisions. So that was really the sort of the nut that grew into where I am today.
And what were you doing when you first joined Great West Life? How did
I was
you get started?
I was a housed agent. I wasn't licensed. They did a little bit of training with me, helped me study for my license. I took my license, I passed that. And then my manager said, all right, go out and sell life insurance. And that was basically it. And I was an insurance agent, and I was trying to meet with as many people as I could and sell as much insurance as I could. And it was a tough time for sure.
And so when did the benefits trust get started, and how and why and when?
Well, it was interesting. I was in the agency, and it was good. There was some good people there, and I was getting training from the agency, but also some of the other more senior advisors that were there at the time. And it was probably about 6 months in or 7 months in, I sold a group insurance case. And it was the first group insurance case that I sold. And during that time, the agency was having a contest. Agencies, they used to have those contests. And one of the contests that they were having was who could improve their production one quarter or more the quarter that we were in over the previous quarter. And that was my first quarter that I was in. And sorry, I was in the second quarter, but my production in the first quarter was pretty low because I was brand new, just licensed. And then I sold this 60-person group case. So all of a sudden, my production was about 2,000% more than the previous quarter. So I was by far in the lead. And it was interesting because they didn't post the results. They posted the results weekly, but they didn't post the results in the last 2 or 3 weeks because they wanted to be a surprise for the meeting, for the agency meeting. Anyways, all of a sudden the agency meeting comes along, and I'm going to sit there, and I know I'm going to get the Great West Life Award for that particular contest, and I'm going to be able to take it home and show my fiance how smart I am and how smart she was for saying yes to me when we got married, because I won the Great West Life oven mitts or whatever they were giving away that particular contest. Anyways, they announced the winner, and the winner was Tom Hazel, and who is a terrific gentleman. Anyways, everybody's kind of looking around going, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless Tom sold some, huge cases and because he didn't, he wasn't close to the 2,000%. Anyways, to make a long story short, I went into my manager's office afterwards, and I said, what happened? I don't understand. And he said, that case doesn't count because I don't get paid override on that case. I only get paid override on insurance and select packs. So that case doesn't count. So I don't want you to sell those anymore. I just want you to sell whole life policies and term life policies and so on. And then I was thinking to myself, I don't really care how he gets paid. I care how I get paid. And I really had a lot of success with that case and other cases that I was working on in the group insurance realm. So I stuck with group insurance, and because I got to yes quickly, and that's where my group insurance career basically started. And how did I start?
I know it's a little off track, but can you didn't you also visit Tom in his office?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So after the advisor, after the branch manager said, I don't get paid on this stuff, I was walking through the office, and Tom Hazel called me into his office, and he was a big producer and had a big corner office, and I was sitting in the office with Tom, and he goes, Rob, you won, right? And I said, well, thank you very much. But he goes, tell me about the case. Tell me about that case that you wrote. And I told him about it, and he goes, where did you get the lead? How did you develop the relationship? And he asked me all these motivating questions. And it was phenomenal. He goes, now, how did the presentation go? And who are you competing against? And what pushed them over the edge? Like, what pushed them over the line for them to say yes to you? And I was telling him all the things about it. And he goes, you know what? That's great. And he just got me so motivated and fired up. He said, here's the Great West Life oven mitts. They're yours. You deserve them. And you know what? Go make some calls right now. Go make some more calls. And I've never forgot that. And Tom Hazel was just a gem of a human being. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but it was a really motivating experience. Just that probably 20 or 30 minutes that I spent with Tom Hazel. When I look back at that, I look back at what the manager said, and I look back at what Tom said, and he was this great producer, and I'm going to go down that road.
Wow, what a great story. So how did you find your clients when you first started?
Oh,
Like
when I first,
on
yeah,
group now.
on group insurance. Well, there's a couple of ways, but it was old school. It was Scott's directory. It was sending out letters. I think I'd send out 50 letters a week. I'd follow up with those letters. I'd call them, 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 I'd follow up. I would get meetings, and then those meetings, over time would turn into sales. But one of the things that I was good at was calling people and asking them for meetings. And I was relentless. And one of the things that I used to do, and I never forget this, and this is before, CRMs and so on. I would call up, for example, I'd call you up, Julian, to talk to you about your business, and you'd say, hey, call me in November. My renewal's not till December. And then I'd call you the 1st of November, and I say, Julian, you and I were speaking. I don't know if you remember, but you and I were speaking on what's the date today, June 20th, a couple of months ago. You asked me to call you on the 1st of November. And then you might be sitting there going, oh, wow, this guy's right on the ball. So yeah, let's have a meeting. So it was just old school prospecting. It was sending out letters. It was following up with telephone calls. And that's how I'd find my clients. But there was one client that I had, and this is sort of the really the seed that started my thinking towards the benefits trusts. And it was probably around 1992 or 1993, because I started the benefits trust in 1994. But it was a gentleman, I'll never forget his name. His name is Sharish Shah, and he had a very, very small chain of pharmacies in Scarborough, East Toronto. And these pharmacies, he had, I think it was 4 pharmacies, and he had 2 pharmacists working in each pharmacy. One of them had a Canada Post Depot in it, and a lady worked for him that ran that Canada Post Depot. She was the only other full-time people besides the pharmacist. It was himself sort of running the company, and he had a full-time assistant. So there was probably 10 or 12 people in this particular group. And they wanted a benefit plan, Julie, and they wanted a benefit plan that had life insurance and AD&D and long-term disability insurance, and they wanted health coverage, and they wanted dental coverage. But what they didn't need was drug coverage, because they were a pharmacy. This was, again, 1980 or 1990 something. They didn't need drug coverage because they were going to get it from their suppliers. And they could buy it cheaply and get it for free or whatever it was. So they didn't need drug coverage. So I went back to, the agency that I was with, the Great West Life agency that I was with, and talked to the Select Tech manager. And he said, Rob, we can't unbundle this stuff. You got a client that wants all of these benefits with the exception of drug benefits. However, drug benefits are part of the package and they have to buy them. But we'll rate it really low. So next year, the costs will be in line with what their utilization is. And I said, fantastic. I sold this client this particular bill of goods, ran it for a year or just over a year, and got the first renewal. And their utilization, if I remember, was around, their health utilization was around 30%, but their rates went up. And I go, this makes no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. Their rates are going up. And they explained to me that the pool that they were in had poor experience, and the case was so small it wasn't credible. So therefore the rates have to go up. I went back to the client, I showed him this, and he said, cancel the plan immediately. And I thought to myself, I'm going, hold on a second here. This doesn't make any sense. I'm an advisor. I want to be able to provide my client with a customized solution, with a solution that works for them. They have a profitable business, and they want to make a promise to their employees with respect to the benefits that they want to offer. And we can't unbundle this because they've only got 10 or 12 people. If this was, Shoppers Drug Mart, Great West Life would be doing backflips and unbundling it. But why couldn't we do it for the small group? And that's really what started the seed that started growing in my head about the benefits trust.
And what does the benefits trust do?
We are a full service third-party benefit administration company. We purchase, first of all, we work with end user clients where we help them develop what promise they want to make to their employees with respect to their benefits. And I use that word promise strategically. It's a promise that an employer makes to their employees as a condition of employment. And in this case, it's a benefit promise. And when you analyze that promise, there are really three components to it. One component of catastrophic or a protection against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events. If I make an employee a promise that if they pass away, I'm going to pay their named beneficiary $50,000, for example, that's a promise that I'm making. I want to make sure I have insurance coverage to protect that promise. So what we do is we help clients protect their promise by using different insurance products for things like life insurance, AD&D, long-term disability, those types of things. The second thing we do, the second component of the promise is I like to say is high frequency, low cost events, a trip to the dentist, a trip to the pharmacy. I'm going to take a prescription drug tonight. It happens every single day, right? So that's really not insurance. It's just budgeting. It's just budgeting for those expenses. And then the third component is one of administration. It's keeping that promise. It's keeping that promise for their employees. It's keeping that promise with booklets. It's keeping that promise with billing statements. And we provide that entire package. So we help clients keep the promises that they make to employees by using insurance products to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events or high cost, low frequency events. We use budgeting and claims adjudication models to make sure that the promise is kept for low cost, high frequency events, and then provide all the administration around that.
So what I hear you telling me is that if I'm out helping a client buy group insurance, you're my competition.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we started off January 1st, 1994, and without a doubt at that point in time, you were our competition. We would be competing against you because we were the advisor as well as the provider to a great extent. We were just repackaging and doing it in a different way. It was pretty easy to get meetings, so it was interesting. But during that time, I had a lot of friends in the business that I knew, and they were asking me about the things that we were doing and why we were doing this and how we were doing it. And then they would say to me, some of my colleagues would say to me, "Hey, Rob, I've got this case. Can we work on it together? Because I think it might be a good fit for your model." So we would work on it together. We would pay commissions, and everything was great. But what happened is it became cumbersome. It became really cumbersome. So from 1994 to 2001, I was competing against you, Julian, and competing against people like you. But I was also working with you and working with people like you. So I'd walk into a meeting and I go, "Hey, this is terrific. And it's a pleasure to meet you. And thank you for taking this time to meet with me. And just before we begin, who's your advisor? Who's your current advisor?" And they'd say, "Well, it's Julian Wise." And I go, "Great. Well, you know what? You're in good hands. I work closely with Julian, and I can't help you here because he just gave me a piece of business last week or last month." So what we decided to do is in 2001, April 1st, 2001, we were working with a bunch of advisors and we were also selling direct, but we made a decision at that time that this was awkward and you can't play both sides of the fence. You can't be on both sides of the playing court, so to speak. So we made a decision and we shifted our marketing and shifted our solution to working with advisors, and we would support you as an advisor. And we only we would only distribute our product or our solution through advisors like you.
That's great. In fact, I belong to a study group with 8 or 9 other people, and each and every one of them are clients of yours.
Correct. They're clients of ours. So we deal with thousands of clients, thousands of advisors, which we call clients, and some of those advisors in your study group, Julian, are also, not only do they distribute our product, but they also purchase it. So it's terrific.
That's great. So do you have competition?
Yes, we have competition without a doubt. And
Not that you have to name them.
yeah, no, we have a lot of competition. We have a lot of competition, and it's how does one define competition, right? But we have a lot of competition. We compete against the insurance companies. Like, you remember the old expression, Julian, you're certainly old enough to remember this, and maybe some of the people on the call are, you never got fired for hiring IBM, right? Well, you never got fired for hiring Canada Life or for hiring Empire Life, which are all terrific companies, or Manulife, fantastic companies. They all have their quirks, right? But they are our competition. We also have other TPAs in the Canadian landscape that are certainly our competition. But I like to say we help successful business owners build a better benefit plan than they can get anywhere else. We provide a truly customized solution to our end user clients, and as a result of that, we have success. We have success in doing so. And do we have competition? Absolutely. But it's hey, the best place to sell shoes is across the road from a shoe store.
Rob, what disciplines did you develop at an early stage that first helped you excel?
That's a great question, and Julian, it goes right back to that agency at 200 Consumers Road, the Great West Life Agency. One of the things that they would have is their quarterly meetings, with the agency and everybody. They'd hand out some awards and the Evan Mitts or whatever they were doing, but they always had a speaker, and there was this one lady that got up, and I wish I could remember her name, Julian, but I cannot. But anyway, she was a quite a good producer, and she got up and she spoke in front of the agency, and there was probably, I don't know, 75 or 80 of us there, and she spoke in front of the agency, and she said, she was selling life insurance, and she was selling investment products, and she was selling living benefits, and what she said was, and I'll never forget this, she says, I have committed to 10 meetings a week. And what I do is I have 10 meetings a week. That's it. And that really was the trigger for her success. And that's what she shared with us. And I thought about that. And I thought about that for about a millisecond. And I said, 10 meetings a week. Wow, I can do that. 10 meetings a week. 40 weeks a year, because there's Christmas vacations and holidays and summer and whatever, right? I can commit to 10 meetings a week and 400 meetings a year. So and those are sales meetings, Julie, not meetings like we're having today, for example. I'm talking about asking people to buy meetings, or pushing the ball up the hill meetings. I'm talking, back to the Etheringtons, right? It's, you should be seeing a client or a prospect. That's all you should be doing. And it was that, and I really committed to that. And I committed to that for years and years and years. And I kept my head down and didn't listen to the noise that is in our world. And there's a lot of noise in our world. And I really didn't listen to the noise, and committed to those 10 meetings. And when I would have those 10 meetings, it was a good week. It was as simple as that. That's how I used to measure things. 10 meetings a week, it was a good week.
Rob, what unique abilities do you bring to the table personally?
Well,
Unique
you're
abilities?
using the Dan Sullivan word there, unique abilities. I think the unique ability that I bring to the table is being able to talk to people, being interested in people, and asking questions. I love asking questions. I love hearing about people's success. I love hearing, how people do things well, and see how people do things well. So I think my unique ability is asking great and powerful questions. And Julian, I don't know if you remember this, but you probably don't, but it was years and years and years ago. You and I were on a cruise ship together. We were on a National Life cruise. I was pretty young in my career, and you were at the peak of your career, or you were at the top of your game. And we qualified for the National Life trip, and we were floating around in the Mediterranean, and it was a great time. And one night I sat with you and probably about 10 other advisors, or 12 other advisors, and we were sitting around a big table in the back of the ship, because that's where you could have a cigar and a drink or two. And you were doing what you do when you were holding court, and I was asking some questions, but I was also listening and listening a great deal about your success and these other advisor successes. And it's, doing what those people that are successful do. So I think my unique ability is being able to ask questions to get information to help people help people make decisions about their future. That's what I think my unique ability is. And the best question, and back to the strategic coach about unique ability, is one that I got from participating in the strategic coach program. It's quite simple. If we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? I've used that question countless times, right? Whether it be in a prospecting meeting, whether it be in a client meeting, whether it being out for dinner with a group of friends, sitting around the outdoor fireplace we have here at our home, with my son's friends and so on. And it's just a powerful question because people will give you a roadmap of where it is that they're going. They'll give you a very distinct roadmap. And then what I think our job is as a third-party administrator is to help them with that roadmap and help them achieve their goals.
Great. So let me ask you, what part did study group or degrees in the business play as a role in your development? And which would you do again, and which wouldn't you do again, and why?
Well, as I mentioned, I was in university, but I didn't finish. Much to my mother's dismay, right? There was a spot on the dining room wall of my sister graduating and my brother graduating in pictures, and then an empty spot on the wall, and that always, anyways, that always got my mother upset that I wasn't up there. But since then, since I got into the insurance business and had some success at it in the earlier years, I thought it was important to continue my education. So I got my, in those days, the LUATC courses 1 and 2, which I thought were phenomenal. Then I got my CLU designation, which I thought was important as well. And then I think the one that I enjoyed the most was through the CEBS program, the CEBS program. I got my GBA designation, Group Benefits Associate designation. And I think I thought that was a terrific course. It was, I think, 8 or 10 courses. I don't remember, but it was poignant. It was well done. I think Dalhousie University sort of was the backbone behind that. Great program, still exists today, and I think continuing education is vital. I think we have to do it. I'm a big proponent of continuing education and the programs that are available, for us as licensed advisors, and I think it's important. I was never a part of a study group, although I've participated in a number of study groups, like, for example, yours, Julian, as well as others, where I've gone and presented ideas, and I think there's a powerful component of it. I'm part of Dave Patriarch's group, what's it called? The Group Insurance Brokers of Canada, and there's different meetings that we have there on a regular basis. But I think the biggest thing, although it wasn't an insurance study group, but I was in that, I'm still in the strategic coach program, and I have been for more than 34 years. And that's something that really keeps me grounded and focused on working on my business, not in my business. So personal development is important.
Thank you, Rob. When people ask you what you do for a living, how do you explain it to them?
We help successful business owners build a better benefit plan than they can get anywhere else. It's as simple as that. So we help successful business owners build a better benefit plan than they can get anywhere else. And that's a great, what was that? 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever it was. And what it does is that one statement, we help. Who doesn't like being helped? People love being helped. We help successful business owners. There's 2 types of prospects in the world: successful business owners and other people's prospects, right? Successful business owners build. Everybody wants something built. That's custom. We help successful business owners build a better benefit plan. Okay, well, I'm always interested in something better where I can get anywhere else, exclusive. And what that does, when I say that, when they do for a living, we help successful business owners build a better benefit plan than they can get anywhere else. They go, well, that's fascinating. How do you do that? Or that's interesting. How do you do that? Or I'm not a successful business owner. I wonder what movie's on this flight, and they put their headphones on, right? But, this is what we do. We help people build better benefit plans that they can get anywhere else.
Rob, what critical events have happened in your career that caused you to pause and reevaluate your business?
Great question. It's, Julian, it was interesting in 1993, we started our business, and we started the business, the Benefits Trust, and a couple of things happened. There was a hotel recession going on at the time, and I had some contacts in the hotel world, and it was interesting because we got a lot of hotel business, Julian, for whatever reason, because that's where we were prospecting, and the hotels kept on passing us. One hotel owner would pass us over to another hotel owner, would pass us over to another hotel owner. So we got all of these clients in the hotel business. And it was great. So we had this explosive growth, and we were providing great service to them, and everybody was happy. And then all of a sudden, things changed, and things changed really quickly. And I'm trying to remember the year, but I don't. But it was probably about 3 or 4 years after we started in our business, and we had staff and commitments to people and so on. And all of a sudden, within an 18-month period, we've lost 80% of our business, because what happened was these small hotel groups were being purchased by real estate investment trusts, REITs. And just like in the game Monopoly, every time you go around the board, someone else owns Park Place, and you got to pay rent if you land on it. So all of a sudden, these owners were selling their business, and they were selling their business to these real estate investment trusts. And back in the day, Standard Life was one of the big underwriters of these real estate investment trusts. So they just, got rid of us and put in their Standard Life plan, because, they kind of own them. And we lost 80% of our business in I think it was less than 18 months. I think it was more like a year. Anyways, there was a lot of sleepless nights. We had to lay some people off, and we had to regroup. So we said at that point, we need to pause and say what worked, what didn't work. And what didn't work was Pearl Harbor. We had all of our ships in one harbor. And I don't know if you've ever been to Pearl Harbor. It's in Hawaii and done a tour there. It's magnificent, but the Americans messed up, and they admitted it, because they had all their ships in one harbor. We had all their ships in one harbor. We had too many clients in one industry. So we said that didn't work, but our process works, our system works, our message works. So let's change that. And let's change that message to groups that are not all in one industry. And let's just open this up to all industries. And that was one real big pause that we had, and regrouping, if you would, that we had. There was another one as well. Lawrence mentioned in the introduction that we were also in the pension business in the early days as well. And we grew our pension business, specifically our defined benefit pension business, because our idea was we could work with clients that had a defined benefit pension plan, and we would do the administration and actuarial work on that. As well as that, we would do the administration work and on their benefit side. So we would have these clients really locked up. And what happened was the pension side grew to a certain point, and then the benefits side grew more rapidly, and then we finally just sold off that pension side. So that was a pause as well, and we needed to really just focus all of our efforts on the benefit side. So two real pauses, or hiccups, or changes in our business.
Thank you for sharing that so lucidly. Rob, tell me about your office. How many people do you have? What do they do? What does having them allow you to focus on? What would you change about the design of it if you could? How long have your people been with you? What would they say about you as an employer? A lot of questions.
A lot of questions. Well, we had 2 offices up until last October, when we closed down our Vaughan office. Our head office is in Pelham, Ontario, which is down near St. Catharines. We've got, well, it's ironic, we're having a party on Saturday night, and there will be probably close to 70 people there. So we've got about 35 staff and their spouses. And we do, because we're handling Well, we've got all types of different staff from accounting professionals to adjudication professionals to claims adjudication professionals and administration professionals to people. We do a lot of documents, so people are creating and sending out documents. We've got a terrific sales team that's working with advisors and drumming up new business. So it's really, we couldn't do anything without our staff, without a doubt. And then they've freed up time for me to do things like this, as well as the future direction of the business and create new and exciting solutions and new markets and so on, which we are constantly doing. And we've had staff, Julian, that have been with us. I think our longest staff, we've been in business for 30 years, and Andrew joined us like 29 years ago. We've had clients that have been with us for 30 years, but Andrew's been there 29 years. We've got lots of people that are over 20 years. And we've got a number of people over 15 years. So I believe we're a good employer just because of the way people say or stay with us. And they're dedicated, and I believe we treat them very well. And we do things like these parties and some extracurricular activities, and they're important. A lot of people look at staff as a burden, and we look at staff as a terrific addition to our business, as part of our business. They are our business. It's bigger than me. That's for sure.
So they're an investment, not an expense.
100%. 100%. 100%. It's I know, hiring the first staff person is difficult, but then all of a sudden you see the rewards, and then it makes it really easy. And it's it's back to the strategic coach. Are you working in your business, or are you working on your business? And one of the things that I really focused on for many years is working on our business and growing our business. And it comes back to a commission check is not a paycheck. A commission check is revenue. And I think a lot of people look at it a little differently. Where I look at it is, commissions, however you receive commissions, are just revenue into your business, right? It's what you do with that revenue, and it's how you manage that revenue, that sustainable revenue that keeps it going. And one of the best parts about the group insurance business is you get paid monthly. We've always set ourselves up in that fashion, but we get paid monthly, and you get paid monthly, generally speaking, in advance. You don't have chargebacks. And I can wake up on January 1st and know with some certainty, what the revenue is going to be in that particular year.
Rob, what are your thoughts on the industry, the profession, if you like, and how it has changed over time?
I think the best time to sell insurance is right now. I think the industry has changed, but I think the best time to sell insurance right now, specifically group insurance, is right now, as well as individual insurance products. Although I haven't sold an individual insurance product in 25 years, but I think my last life insurance sale was to my brother, and I'm still not sure if he's insured or not. But as far as group insurance goes, I think it's the best time that I've seen in 36 years of being in this business to sell group insurance. And the reason why is, costs are big. You're spending $3 or $4 or $5 or $10,000 an employee on benefits, depending on what you're promising your employees. You're spending a great deal of money, and it's a large line item on someone's financial statements. Group benefits, and as a result of that, I think with changing over time and the costs increasing, the cost changing, clients are looking for advisors for advice. Clients are truly looking for direction and advice. And one thing that I've learned is business owners, entrepreneurs, hate wasting money. They don't mind spending it. But they hate wasting it. They like to spend money on things that they perceive value for. And if you can show a client value and how they're spending their money and how they're spending it wisely, and the value they're getting from that, right? It's truly magical. So as a result of the increase in costs, clients are looking to you as a professional, or looking to the professional advisor community to help them. And I think there's such an opportunity for that. There's 400,000 businesses in Ontario with less than 100 employees. They need our help. Everybody needs our help, right? It's as simple as that. And one of the stats that I heard, which was disturbing to me, is the average advisor sells one case a year. And that's something that Dave Patchurch mentioned from CGIB, the Canadian Group Insurance Brokers. He was saying something along those lines, right? But would you go to a dentist that only does one cavity a year to have your cavity filled? No, right? So I think there's a ripe opportunity for advisors to advise their clients in a professional and exciting way that will help them build their businesses.
Wow, you're very motivational.
Yeah.
In fact, if I was just starting in the business, I'd be watching this tape over and over and over again.
But Julian, on that note, and it was interesting, I was at one of the KLU meetings a couple of years ago, and we were sitting around, and there was a bunch of us sitting around the table, and the president of KLU was there, and we were chatting. And this is something I think this is a great time to sell individual insurance products as well. And I'll tell you the reason why. I'm 60 years old in September, right? At the end of September, I'm going to be 60 years old. I've got 3 kids, right? I own a business, successful business, multiple homes, investments, all this type of stuff. And not once have I ever been contacted by anybody about what my insurance needs are, or what my financial planning needs are, or what my living benefit needs are, or investment needs are. Not once have I been contacted by anybody on the phone, letter, anything. Birth announcements in the newspaper, all of those things. I think there's an opportunity out there that people are missing. I'm not saying call me, don't call me, I'm good, but but you know what I mean? There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of people, not only businesses, but individuals that haven't been what's the word, contacted, or they don't have an advisor of any kind.
Wow. So what guidance or advice would you have for someone who's just starting in the business?
I would say be interested and not be interested and be interesting. 2 things: be interested and be interesting. And when I say be interested, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Number 1. Number 2, don't listen to the noise. There's a lot of noise out there, right? There's a lot of noise out there. Number 3, have goals.
What kind of noise, Rob?
Oh my God. Like, oh, we got to go to this seminar. We've got to go to that webinar. We've got to do this. We've got to go over here, and I'm going to build my website, and I can't focus on making calls right now to get, or prospecting to get new business, because I've got to, rebuild my website, or I've got to build a website, or I've got to, create something. You know what I mean? You need to be seeing a client. You need to be on your way to be seeing a client. You need to be on your way back from seeing a client. You need to be able to see a prospect. You need to have enough prospecting, in the mill. So I say have goals, right? And don't listen to the noise that's out there. Like I said earlier, 10 meetings a week. That was a goal of mine, whether it's right or wrong. Oh, it's only up to me, right? But have those goals. So I had those 10 sales meetings. I didn't go to a lot of industry things, right, for those years, because I focused on those 10 meetings. I was either prospecting to get those 10 meetings, or following up on those 10 meetings, or in those 10 meetings, right? It's don't listen to the noise that's out there. Have goals and stick to those goals, and stick to those goals over the long term. Adjust those goals, but stick to those goals over the long term. Make them simple, easy to measure, right? So if you're a new advisor out there, and I don't care if you're selling life insurance, which is terrific, or investment products, or group insurance, or windows, or umbrellas, it doesn't matter. You got to have those goals, and you got to commit to those goals, and you have to do it over the long term. And learn how to ask questions. Learn how to ask questions.
What part of the business did you find difficult in the early years?
Prospecting. Yeah, prospecting, without a doubt. I still find it difficult now. And the other thing, prospecting, because people say no. When I worked in the beer business, no one ever said no. Julian, would you like a beer? Sure. Right. Julian, would you like some life insurance? No. Right. So prospecting, it's the most difficult part, but that's why we get paid well, is because we get over that hump. It's water off a duck's back. But the other thing that I found difficult is, sometimes you can feel like the most confident person in the world and $1 million, right? And the next moment you could feel like you're what was that pirate movie out with that actor, the swarthy actor, Pirates of the Caribbean, right? You know, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but anyways, you feel like this pirate just trying to get through the day, and then the next time you feel like you're an absolute loser and you want to bang your head against the wall, and that can all be before noon. So I think the difficult part of being in sales is this range of emotions, and one of the things that still haunts me today is that range of emotions, and you've got to be able to have that going on potentially in your head, but you've also got to be able to show on the surface that it doesn't bother you. So it's having that, yin and yang, if you would, but not letting it bother you. Every time I get a no, I'm closer to a yes. It's a numbers game. It's just simply a numbers game.
What superb insights. Rob, what do you do when you're not working?
Ah,
Do you
great
travel?
question. Yeah, my wife and I, Michelle, we've been married 34 years last Sunday. So that's 68 years of marriage, 34 each. She's my rock.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's my, absolute rock. And we just got back from Portugal. My son, Rob, was with us, Rob Jr., and his fiance. They're getting married in September. And the four of us were in Portugal. We had a great trip. So we like to travel a bit. We spend the winters, and I still work from there. I work remotely, as I do most of the time. But we spend the winters in Whistler, and I work Ontario time, so I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, work till about 10, which is 1-ish Ontario time, and by that time I've completed my to-do tasks, shall we say, and then we go up and ski. Michelle and I go up and we ski, and last year we skied, I don't know, 70 days and 1 million vertical feet. So we love doing that. That's my golf passion, if you would. Some people have a golf passion. I have a ski passion. So we do that. And then we live in Muskoka full time. And so we kind of do things backwards. We live in Muskoka full time, and we have a cottage in downtown Toronto. So our cottage is on the 33rd floor of a building on King Street overlooking Roy Thompson Hall and University Avenue. I call it the Sky Cottage, and our home is in cottage country.
Huh. So what have you run towards in your career, Rob? What have you really embraced?
Creativity. We're always looking for new ways to do things, and creative ways to do things. And an example, I was talking earlier, this is just an awesome story. I think it's an awesome story, and I want to share it with you. But creativity, when we were starting out, and again, creative ways of prospecting, and we were selling pension administration and actuarial services, along with benefit administration and services and so on. I was with a friend of mine who I'm still friends with today. His dad taught us Sunday school. That's how long ago we go back. He was in my wedding party. We're still friends today, and great guy. And he worked for Premier Harris. And we were out one afternoon or one night, and we were shooting the breeze, and he mentioned something about the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act and all the things that you can get from the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. And then I thought about that for a little while, and I said, how does the process work? And he says, all you have to do is write the Freedom of Information and Privacy Officer a question and ask if you can have this information. And if he says yes, then they have to give it to you. I go, well, every single registered pension plan in the province of Ontario has to fill out an annual information return, and that goes to the government. So I requested through the Freedom of Information and Privacy Officer a copy of every single annual information return of every single registered pension plan in the province of And the privacy officer wrote back and said, yes, you can have that. And this is the person you have to contact to get it at the Financial Services Commission of Ontario. So with that blessing, I wrote to this particular individual, asked him to send me a copy of all of these what were they called again? The annual information returns. And then he called me back and said, wow, this is going to be a big report. I'm not going to give you copies of them, but we can run a report that has all the information, because it had the number of people in the plan, the number of assets in the plan, had all the information that you needed to put a proposal together. So he contacted me and said, we'll run a report with this information, but I got to tell you, it's going to be a big report. And I said, that's fine. And he goes, and I have to charge you for it. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. How much is it going to be? And he goes, well, we've never done this before, but it's probably going to be a lot. And I said, all right, well, what's a lot? Right. He goes, it's going to be $300. Julie and I went, $300? And he goes, okay, you know what? We'll just make it $250. I was shocked at how little it was. He was shocked on my response. So we brought it down. Anyways, I said, listen, since it's going to be such a big report, because it was printed out, it was going to be like this thick. I go, would you mind if I picked it up and gave you the check? Right? He goes, sure. So we arranged the time a few weeks later. I went down to his office. I picked up this report. Then creativity, that's where the creativity comes in. First of all, how did you get this information? But then, Julian, what we did is we sent out proposals, unsolicited proposals, because we knew how many people were in the plan, we knew how many assets there were, et cetera, what when they needed to do their next actuarial valuation, et cetera. We knew all this. So we would send out complete proposals, and we would send out 20 of these things a week. And then I would call up the prospect and I go, hey, did you receive my proposal? And they go, yeah. How did you get all this information? And I go, well, let's meet at Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And I'll tell you, and they go, you got my attention, let's go, right? And it was fascinating, because business owners, and we were dealing again with the small business owners at that time that still had defined benefit plans, they were going, we're just so excited about how you got, so they were so intrigued about how you got this information, how creative it was, right? Like, they were amazed by that. And I remember, seeing a lot of these people's faces. They were just like, that's so cool. You're an industrious person. Like, let's talk about this. Let's do some business together. Like, it was just a great way to do it. So we still do that creative kind of thing. And we had some renovations done on our home here recently, and I was watching the guys do this extension that we put on our house for this office, actually. And I had to leave, Julie. I had to leave the house because it was stressing me out, because they were working at such heights and so on. And it really stressed me out. So one of the things that we did, we created a benefit plan specifically for advisors to sell to builders, right? We call it the builder's benefit plan, and it's got some unique characteristics to it. We've had some great success with that. And again, it's these creative solutions that help people make decisions and help people protect their employees. So it's creative things that I think motivates me.
Wow, that's exciting. So I guess this is going to be like my final question to you, and that is, who has had the most impact on your life, and why?
Oh, that's a terrific question, Julian. The top two people that come to mind are, without a doubt, my wife. Married 34 years, and she's just an absolute rock. And my late father, he was a huge influence. Like, both of them, just full of encouragement, never a bad day. Never a bad day, just always positive, always happy, even when they're not. And just dynamite. I remember seeing my dad in the hospital just after he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he knew he only had 6 months to live. And I said, oh my God, Dad, what are you going to do? And he says, well, I'm going to give up my Costco membership. There's no point of buying things in bulk. That was the type of guy that he was, right? He was just a fun guy that loved life. And same with Michelle, my wife. We've got 4 tons of rock on our driveway right now, little river rock that we're putting around the gardens and so on. And, you know, she's out there this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, moving this rock before the, you know, it gets too hot out. And she's just going, I love this. This is so much fun. It's working out. And, you know, and she's dirty and sweaty, and it's wonderful. And I said, I got to go prepare for this meeting today. So see ya, have fun. But, you know, just, they're both so wonderful.
Rob, the currency of life is time, not money. Time and energy, and you have bundles and bundles of it. I have thousands of more things to ask you, but no time left to do it in today. Bless
Julian,
you, and thank you for spending time with me.
Julian, it's always a pleasure. I love spending time with you as well. And I love you were one of the guys that I met early on in my career back in the back of that cruise ship, and you were holding court, and it was just that energy and that laugh that you have. And you know, it's motivating, it's captivating. And, you know, I wanted to be like you. Simple as that. Thank you, Julian.
That's so kind. Lawrence, over to you.
Thank you, Julian. Excellent job. That you really elicited marvelous responses from Rob. Rob, there are three types of people on earth: people who think inside the box, people who think outside the box, people who never knew there was a box there in the first place. And you seem to fall into the third category, as do most successful people. But, you know, you were talking about rolling rocks uphill. A lot of the time in life, when there's no box there, the people who live in the box try to make your life difficult going uphill. What advice do you have for people who try to do it? Because you started as an insurance agent. You've all the way through today described traditional insurance methods, but you apply them totally unconventional.
Yeah. So, you know, a couple of things, Lawrence, is, you know, when people get in your way, go around them, go over them, go beside them, like go around them. I don't let people get in the way. Like, that's terrific. Thank you for your opinion, and move on. One of the things that I remember my father saying to me, I was telling him about this business and the idea of starting the benefits trust and so on. He says, interesting idea. And you're going to be selling the first plot in the cemetery, because it was relatively new. It was a relatively new industry at the time. And we're one of the few that have been around for a long time, but it was the first plot in the cemetery. It's certainly getting a little easier today because you've got 30 years experience, but you know, yeah, I don't let people get in the way of telling me that I can or cannot do something, or I'm doing it wrong. Right. Well, that's terrific. You know, yeah, we're not done. It's expensive learning all along the way. We're not done. You know, are we doing it wrong? Absolutely. But we're going to figure out how to do it better. One of the things that I always say in our sessions, in our Zoomcast sessions that we do, is we send out a small survey, but let us know how we did today so we can do it better tomorrow. That's been something that we've said in our office all the time. It's how can we do things better tomorrow? We have, and I just happen to have it here. Everybody in our office has, you know, an easy button, right, on their desk.
That was easy.
That was easy. We want to make it easy for our clients to deal with us. We want to be easy. One of the things that we do, Lawrence, and I didn't get a chance to mention this with Julian, we answer the phone. Clients look at us for service, but we answer the phone, not enter your 17-digit PIN number here and press 2 for that and 3 for this and so on. We answer the phone. We do that 5%, you know, extremely well where people need it the most.
But that touches on something. I remember Mel Gilbert always talking about it. In your case, so there are lots of people who have 30 years experience. It's 1 year, 30 times. They just keep reinventing the wheel every day. You alluded to this earlier. You have 30 years experience. How do you get there? How do you resist the temptation? You talk about the noise. How do you resist the temptation to do the easy rather than the right?
It's a great question, and the answer is I've always wanted to make choices and not face decisions. I think there's a big difference, you know, to make choices, not face decisions. And, you know, to a great extent, that's always been in the back of my mind, and noise will help you have to face decisions other than making choices. And it's being motivated to continue to grow your business, to continue to grow as an individual, to continue to grow your relationships, to continue to grow everything around you. My future is going to be bigger than my past. It always will be. I don't want to go in the other direction. It's as simple as that. And it's always, continuing to grow. So that 30 years, of experience is a starting point. We're just getting started. We're just getting warmed up. Right?
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Julian. Again, this is the sort of session that will help people, as Julian said earlier, help people who are getting started or people who are in the business and trying to decide how to do something, whether it is conventional or not, and follow their passion of the business. Very few people who follow their passion thoughtfully, diligently, energetically, and with a process in mind fail in our business. You just have to sell the client what they want and what they need and figure out how to do it. Next week, Julian will be back with Chris Facey from St. John's, another example of somebody who does that. And the week after, Dave Patriarch with Don Forbes from Alberta, and then Barry Pascal with John Hanser. So we have quite a lineup coming up, and I hope to meet you or to hear from you or see you. If you know of anyone who we should be interviewing, next week is Thursday, June 27th. We'll see you at 11 a.m. Eastern time for Meet the Masters of Insurance. And thank you for joining us today.